Okay, you know that comic Garfield minus Garfield? I'm thinking we make these little boxes that we can sell to people. They plug it into the back of their TV, and what it does is it mutes King. All it would do is just mute King. Yeah, every time he talks, it mutes him. Whenever there's a Divas match, it would be awesome.
Did you not like the backstage segment?
No, King.
Oh, King! Sorry, I thought you said Kane.
I'm sorry my accent threw you off, Lee.
Yeah, you're not fucking normal, all right?
It is time for the honey badger of podcasts, the FTW podcast, the wrestling world in its laughable glory. I am Harrison, and with me as always is Joe. Say hello, Joe.
Hi, kids.
You've gotten really, really good with that. Rob, say hello, Rob.
Hey.
We got Lee again. Say hello. Say good day, Lee.
I'm scared shitless after what Joe just did.
And Garvin is manning the boards. Tonight is episode 120, coming to you live on June 26, 2012. And on tonight's show, we'll be taking your thoughts about the Punk versus Rude debate. Can Money in the Bank fit yet another gimmick? Bound for Glory heats up, and how much porn could a porn chuck if a porn chuck could chuck porn? All this and more on the FTW Podcast. If you're new to the show, check out our website, ftwpodcast.com. You can get in touch with us. Twitter, Facebook, voicemail, text message, email, yada, yada, yada. We want your voice to be heard. It's definitely one of my it's definitely our favorite thing about the show. Tonight's live chat can be found at ftwlive.com. Thank you guys for being in there. You're the hive mind. You make the show awesome. You can also email us questions at ftwpodcast.com. And if you're on Twitter, use hashtag FTWLive. But first, last week's follow-up. DJ Clean Style said he loves the Punjabi prison. Clearly someone needs to lay off the LSD. Normaniac said, I don't know how it can be said that Rude is a better champion than Punk based on the fact that the title means more in TNA. That's an element of the booking styles within the two companies and doesn't really say a whole lot about either man as a champion. I would disagree. I mean, we were basically talking about it from the point of not so much, well, I don't know about anybody else, but me personally saying Rude's the better champion entirely for that reason, because they're booking him as a better champion and not just a better wrestler. I mean, that's where I was coming from. If you want to look at these guys basically, as like a pro and con list, element for element, and yeah, but as far as champion goes, it's got to be Rude.
Yeah, like we said, and I kind of agreed with this. Wrestling moves, actually wrestling in the ring. Yeah, CM Punk's probably the better champion, but overall, character-wise, and with the importance of the belt and the importance to their company, WWE could lose CM Punk and it wouldn't hurt them at all. TNA would be severely injured by losing Rude, and Robert Roode, unlike CM Punk, has shown a great ability to kind of reinvent himself and completely change his character.
Well, but the catch here was that we weren't talking who is a completely better champion. It's whose championship run is better, right? Because
that was
the Rude championship angle seemed to be better because it just seemed to have more of there was more fan vehement wanting to see him get beat than there is for people wanting Punk to continue staying champion. Especially when you've got Daniel Bryan and Kane getting into the mix.
And AJ.
Rude doesn't even have to come out from the back. As soon as his music hits, fans are ready to riot.
That's basically the point that we were trying to make, is that if you look at it, kind of combining Rob and Joe's points, is that if Rude loses the title, it's a bigger hit than if Punk loses the title. Face it, with Punk, like we were saying, like with Punk, Bryan, and Kane, and AJ, that whole storyline, the titles are just there. I mean, I could guarantee you, if they didn't walk out without him, no one would care. But with Rude, everybody wants to see him lose the belt. So, Mr. Ashik 84. Oh, I'm sorry. Go on, Lee.
I was just about to say, it's interesting though that with both the titles, they're actually WWE and TNA are in a similar thing where the titles are not the main storyline at the minute. Like in WWE, you've got the whole John Cena thing, focusing on that, and TNA, you've got this Dixie and AJ thing, which has been absolutely pushed to the thing, which everyone has said why.
No, that's a fair point, and we're actually going to be talking about that later. So, thank you, Lee. Mr. Sheik, no, it's okay. Mr. Sheik 844 says CM Punk is the best wrestler in the world. Not for no reason. He could wrestle as well as Bryan, cut promos as well as Michaels, and his reign is so amazing that he watches Raw just for that. All of his matches are 5-star matches, and he could sell anything. I'm assuming Mr. Sheik has a few CM Punk T-shirts in his closet. I don't know. I mean, real quick, you guys agree? Disagree?
Well, he is. Yeah, I could give him the best wrestler in the world credit. I mean, Bryan's right up there with him in my opinion, but I don't think all the matches have been 5-star matches. A lot of matches lately, but before this entire Daniel Bryan Kane thing started, it kind of got a little like it started to get really routine.
Well, when he was doing the Straight Edge Society, they weren't all that spectacular.
No, that depends on who he fought.
Oh yeah, that's true.
All his work with Mysterio was epic. His stuff even with Jeff Hardy was really good. It depends on who he's up against. If he's got something who's shit, well then it's not going to be good, because if he's got to try and carry the guy, it just won't work. But if he's with someone he can actually work with and they can actually tell a compelling story in the ring, that's one of the things I pride Jericho on.
That's a really good point. Joe, what about you, Rob? Do you think that CM Punk really isn't the best when it comes to actually carrying somebody in a match?
No, I think as much as I'm inclined to support my fellow Chicagoan, he does not. All of his matches are not 5-star matches. He does have bad matches, and when he's forced to carry somebody, he does not do it as good as some other wrestlers I've seen. I think Jericho can carry a guy much better than CM Punk can.
Okay. I would say though that there's not, if everyone had a 5-star match every day of the week, there would be, I think, there's specific levels which you have to put a match to. Otherwise, the important matches wouldn't stick out, and they wouldn't be the match that they are.
Okay.
Right.
No, and yeah, that's a very good point. Mania 17 Austin, which, by the way, he wasn't even the best thing about WrestleMania 17, but whatever. Robert Roode has been a better champion than CM Punk because he is more of a main event player than Punk. Roode's character is being handled wrongly. However, he still cuts good promos, good physique, good matches. Punk is weird looking, tattoos, beard, skinny, strange promos. He loves Punk, but the fact still remains Robert Roode is a much more main event player than Punk on look, mic work, and in-ring execution and skill. Robert Roode wins on all accounts, better wrestler, better champion. Now, the reason why I wanted to bring this up is, agree or disagree, it's a very good point. Robert Roode is the more archetype main eventer than CM Punk is, at least if you look at, historically speaking, that we've had as far as main events on these shows. Real quick, do you guys agree or disagree with that?
I'm going to disagree only because you're looking at them very basically on paper. If you actually jump in and see what they've done, Punk totally outshines him. I mean, hi, Colt Cabana. That promo blew Roode, any promo Roode's done out of the water. One promo could do that. It's crazy.
Rob?
Well, we're not talking about that. We're talking about more, as Harrison asked the question, we're talking more of like an archetype. And when I look at, for example, physically speaking, when I look at Bobby Roode and I look at CM Punk, Bobby Roode does look like what you expect in a main event champion type person. He's got that. He's got the build. He's got the look. He's much more marketable than CM Punk is. CM Punk manages to overcome that archetype difference a lot better, but the fact remains that on a basic level, Roode looks more like a champion than Punk does.
Okay. Lee, what do you think? Real quick.
I think it's been a bit almost stereotypical in terms of like what you would imagine a superstar of WWE or TNA to be of. Punk, he's kind of he's almost like a new guy, a new look, new style, new face of WWE, something different. But yeah, Roode is kind of the traditional looking champion. I wouldn't say that Punk is. I'd have to disagree though, because I think Punk, he's made the name, and he does look like a main eventer, but just not for the WWE.
No, that's a really good point. That's basically my point. It's kind of like a combination of Rob and Lee's, and that, yeah, CM Punk, I would say CM Punk is slightly better as far as talent-wise, just because he did overcome that archetype. That said, Robert Roode is rolling that role like no other. I mean, that guy is just crushing it as far as what he can do as a heel role in TNA. Chat's saying CM Punk very much gets himself over first. Also, a really good point. He does tend to, in his promos, push himself over the talent, depending on, even if he's trying to sell somebody else. That is true. Also, big difference. Robert Roode plays a good heel role and puts up one hell of a match. CM Punk is a good champ like last year, but his matches sometimes are okay and good. He is kind of mercurial in that way. Regarding Joe's comment, chat saying, dude, you're holding on to a memory that is no longer relevant. That CM Punk is long quieted.
It doesn't.
That, Joe?
True.
But I'll agree with that. But the fact that the guy actually can cut a promo that strong to make that big of an impact on the entire company. I have not seen Rude as long as I've watched TNA, which is at least as long as we've done this podcast. I have not seen him with anywhere close to that type of impact, pardon the pun, on the company as Punk has been on the mic in that period.
It's true. To Joe's point, it is true. Robert Roode has never been on ESPN. Rob, you get one rejoiner, then we got to move on. Go, Rob.
Okay. My question to that, Joe, would be, what's the use of having the ability to make those kind of promos if you're not allowed to do it?
But I think he is allowed to do it. I think that they have got him in there because he can talk on that mic, and there's not been a bad promo from Punk since he did it. Oh, don't get me wrong, not everyone's been great, but they've not been below a certain level.
No, that's an excellent point. Mania 17 Austin also brings up, he kind of points out that Big Show taking the big 180 from looking like a fool to all of a sudden being a main event player. He's doing a great job with that. But the one thing that he brought up that I really want to discuss is that Johnny Ace's role was never really established, which is why the angle flopped. Do you agree with that? Do you think that's why that People Power didn't take off? Joe?
I would agree with that. I think it still had a lot more legs than what they were giving it. And I was actually really bummed to see that it ended because he had JBL type heat where you just hated him. Like he can't. Everyone's like, "Oh, he's so boring and dry." But you know what? It worked for Vicky Guerrero. It worked for Mike Adamle. It worked for JBL.
Yeah, I don't think Vicky Guerrero really fits into that, but sure.
Initially, she did.
Okay, yeah, initially, yeah, when she was on SmackDown, sure. Lee, what do you think?
I'd make 2 points. I'd look at the ratings for this week, which is higher than when Johnny Ace was on TV. That suggests that the angle didn't work too well. I'd also say that Johnny Ace, they went the wrong way. I agreed that the story flopped. The story flopped because they went from CM Punk ripping on Johnny Ace in about 2 weeks to John Cena ripping into him, and they changed the angle halfway through because they decided Punk should go another direction. If they'd have stuck with Punk and they built this up, I reckon Punk would have absolutely kicked his ass, and I reckon it'd been a better storyline.
I think the other fail in that storyline is the fact that they rushed him to be the general manager on both shows. Had they kept Johnny Ace on one show only, they could have stretched it out so much longer.
Okay. Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Joe. If they had kept Johnny Ace on one show, and like Lee said, if they had kept it with Johnny Ace versus CM Punk, I think the angle would have done much better. One of the big problems this storyline had was that John Cena is not anti-establishment. John Cena is the company man. And it's hard to put two company men up against each other and expect it to be believable.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. And that's what the chat brought up. That basically in the chat says exactly the same thing. John Cena is not anti-establishment, and that's why this thing flopped. I don't know. When I look at this, I think it would have been a great parody. I think it would have been. I think the People Power thing would have worked better as almost like an anti-WWE, did you know Twitter type of thing. Like it would have worked better as a parody on that. But I don't know. I think that's getting a little bit too meta. Lee, you were going to say something, then we'll move on.
I was just going to say, Johnny Ace was. He didn't really do the role well. He kind of just molded him. We kind of got used to him as well. He needed something about him that kind of stepped him up a little bit. Like Vince has, the power walk. He's got the image. Johnny Ace needed to change something to do that. And he kind of got stupider and stupider and stupid.
Yeah, the scooter.
Yeah, that was quite funny, but on the same time, it was stupid.
I liked the only thing I liked about the People Power thing was that it was very political. Like it was very much like him doing stump speeches and all that stuff. I think he should have had a podium. I think that would have done it. If he would have had a wood podium with the logo on the front, and he had like teleprompters, and he was doing like the hand motions of a politician, I think that really could have sold it, especially because we're in an election year. I think that would have been a great move. Okay, now do you think now Garvin's asking, was Ace not being able to do his role well, or Cena replacing Punk, or Cena not being able to do his role well either that kind of killed this? Real quick, just fire it off. Joe, what do you think?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Basically, did this flop because Ace wasn't able to do the role well, Cena not being able to do his role well, or that Cena replaced Punk? If you had to pick it down to one thing, who do you place the blame at?
I'm going to put it on Cena replacing Punk. I think that the Punk Ace thing would have worked. It was a very Austin McMahon type thing, but it still had new legs. I mean, you had two totally fresh faces you could have done anything with. Nobody had a very specific set role in that. And I think they rushed it and just passed Johnny Ace on to everybody because they really wanted to push him as the uber heel.
Okay, Lee?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's Cena replacing Punk. That's the thing. Another thing is, we all know Cena is the company guy. And at the end of the day, why would Cena rip into a company guy when he is a company guy himself? It didn't make much sense. Whereas Punk, the anti-man as such, was dissing WWE and Triple H, a few months back. It fitted the pattern. It fitted it well. Could have had legs.
Okay, Rob?
Yeah, I think all three played into it, but if I had to pick one over the other, I would say Cena replacing Punk. If they had left it Johnny Ace as versus CM Punk, I think the storyline would have done much, much better than it did.
Okay, we're going 4 for 4. Cena replacing Punk. That was probably the worst move out of it. I really I liked the gimmick. Garvin and I were talking about the pre-show. We liked the nascent nature of the gimmick, like the little nugget of what it was. But yeah, Cena replacing Punk just killed it. Dragon 61 Rider. We're not going to give a point on this because he just brought up a really good point, and I just want to do it and then move on to Impact. Dragon 61 Rider brought up. Basically, he complains about the tag match at the end of Raw last week and makes the point that creative must think that the crowd won't be happy if Cena doesn't win the match with his big move. This is something we've reiterated over and over and over again. Face it, the attitude adjustment sells t-shirts. He also brings up the point of keeping the announcers out of the wrestling ring, and in my opinion, a few should be out of the building. And he's sick of seeing Cole in his undies covered in barbecue sauce, which is saying something because that only happened one time. And I got to be honest, we get a lot of stuff about that. So that
actually, it's happened twice. People. It's happened at least twice.
In barbecue sauce?
Yes.
When was the other time?
JR covered him.
When?
Oh,
JR. It was
Yeah,
back when he had the feud with JR. Either JR covered him or somebody covered him for JR. But no,
in his underwear?
Yeah, they at least ripped a lot of his clothing off to do it.
I'm trying to remember. Oh, yes! Oh, sorry, I just totally blocked that from memory like I imagine a Vietnam vet does. Okay, yeah, well, regardless, it was awful. I hope it never happens again. Also, that was terrible. Same with the Ricardo thing with the Justin Bieber shirt? I don't know. Anyway, all right, time for Impact. Rob, we got to talk about Impact. Besides Bound for Glory, the one thing that we've gotten a lot of questions about, and I want to kick it to you right off the top here, Taeler Hendrix. What do you think?
First of all, I think it's really cool that we've got a gut check with a female wrestler. I myself am a big fan of wrestling, women's wrestling, and was excited to see it. Also, one of the big things about Taeler that really impressed me was the fact that Tara screwed up. Tara, at the end of the match, delivered probably the worst Widow's Peak I've ever seen her deliver. And Taeler still managed to sell the move. She couldn't completely cover up the mistake, but she still sold the move. And to me, that says a lot. If I were one of the judges of Gut Check, I would be voting yes on Taeler Hendrix. She delivered a pretty solid match, and I think TNA really hit a home run with this one. Both the way they had Tara, kind of angry at the Gut Check thing and bad-mouthing Taeler throughout the match, and with Taylor's moveset and everything, I think this was a win-win.
Okay, awesome. Now, the big questions were, everybody was in praise of Taeler Hendrix, and she's been a champion at the farm for TNA for a while. I know that. But anyway, she's obviously got the talent. I know it's kind of hard to say at this point, but do you see her in TNA?
Definitely. I think one of the biggest problems the Knockouts division has right now is lack of original talent. Most of the newcomers to the Knockouts division have come from the WWE. I'd like to see TNA get some original talent, and I think Taeler Hendrix could be the first of a few knockouts that could really help do that.
Okay. Chat's saying I think Hendrix should be shined and start to build her signed and start to build her slowly and steadily. Do you think that's a good move? Do you think not having her come on and basically like Mickie Jamesing it?
Yes. I would say not even Brooke Tessmocking her. Come on, have her come on, have her work, have her compete with the other knockouts, have her develop her, and then eventually move her into the title spot.
Okay. No, that'd be. I definitely agree with you as far as having homegrown talent, especially in that division. Anybody else? Anybody else have thoughts on this before we move on to something else?
Yeah, I've got a bit of an issue. I'm all for her going into TNA, and I think she looked quite good. As Rob said, the Widow's Peak was screwed up completely. She would be a good addition. I personally want to see her against Mickie James because Mickie James looks like she's moving on. But where is Alex Silver? He's not anywhere around. And that is really worrying me because it was a while ago now, and we've not seen a lot from him.
Here's the catch, Lee. Go ahead, Rob.
The problem with Alex Silva was that from a lot of backstage talk we had heard, Ric Flair screwed up. Flair was supposed to say no to Silva, and he said yes. So considering he screwed up, I would assume that TNA has quietly either just, is just going to refuse to use him or has quietly released him.
Just to interrupt, guys, what I heard was that he's from Canada and has some work visa issues and can't work in the States right now.
Oh, well, that could be too.
Okay. Now, that being said, why don't we default to the guy who actually has a wrestling news site and see what he has to say?
Oh, you are just an asshole tonight, aren't you?
So, Lee, with your web of informants, what have you heard about Alex Silva?
I've heard nothing personally, but I will find out now and get back to you in about 2 minutes on that, if that's okay.
You're texting Bischoff right now. All right. The other thing we want to talk about is a few other things we want to bring up. But Knockouts title, Miss Tessmacher defeating Mickie James to retain the title. The interesting thing about this is that both, basically Rob, myself, and Lee all put down Tessmacher and said she wasn't ready to be champion not 1 month ago. And here she is defeating Mickie James. Now, is this more of a sign of faith in Tessmacher or what Joe was alluding to earlier, that Mickie James is basically leaving TNA? Rob, what do you think?
I think this is a sign of faith in Tessmacher. Much like, God, what's her name?
Mary, Sam.
Lacey Von Erich.
There we go.
When she first came into TNA, she was god-awful. But she improved herself quickly. And I've been seeing Tessmacher doing the same thing. Brooke Tessmacher strikes me as somebody who realizes she has a lot of work to do, that she's not where she needs to be yet, and she's continually working to get better. And I think TNA's kind of rewarding that. Mickie James could be on the way out, but I think they're also using the loss to kind of build a heel turn for Mickie James.
Which would be awesome, to be really honest. All right, the other thing is, we'll talk about Bound for Glory later in the show. We actually have a whole segment devoted to it, and an awesome game that we're going to play that I'm going to win. Anyway, Nick from Facebook said, basically brought up the latest twist in the Days of Our Lives Impact Edition. The Dixie Daniel story. Anyway, whatever with Claire is pregnant. It's not Penny's boat. I don't know. Rob, what'd you think?
I thought it was actually pretty good. A little soap opera-ish, yes, but it was literally the last thing that anybody was expecting. I think TNA did a very good job of leading people one way and then coming completely out of left field with something else. So I thought that was really well done.
Well, I am going to completely disagree with Rob and say it was one of the worst things they've done in about a few weeks. I agree with you. It kind of threw people off, but it threw people off as just even look at the crowd. What the hell was that about? It's
like they had this we're going to build this up to this great moment. fuck, we didn't sign whoever we wanted involved, so just give them anything. Just give them some shit.
Do you remember when WWE were building up when when everyone left the building, and then the next night on the next week on Raw there was Triple H, Cena, Punk, and Sheamus, and everyone was like, "My God, this is amazing!" And then Johnny Ace came out and got signed as the manager, and they lost like 1 million viewers. It was TNA's equivalent moment.
Well, here's the thing, though. To throw this on its head, Chat brought up a really great point. I love how not only were they not cheating, but now AJ and Dixie look like freaking saints, which is true. Let's face it, that as weird and as Chewbacca defense-esque that was...
Chewbacca.
What, Lee, you don't want South Park over there?
We watch South Park, we're just...
You don't know the Chewbacca defense? All right, anyway. Anyway, as weird as that was, you gotta be honest, it did do it. It made AJ and Dixie look like saints.
Yeah, but it was the awkwardest shoehorning of the damn thing. Like, then why are they always kissing? They never went on to that. You know, all this footage of them kissing or embracing, and come on, they screwed something up. I'm like, fuck, we need to cover this storyline.
All right,
they didn't think this through. I'm swear down they didn't think this through. This was last minute job.
Yeah, I'm a little bit. This was a last minute thing. I'm probably with you on that one, Lee. Chet saying good move for TNA, surprised me with the storyline, but it did bring Daniel and AJ even more, plus making the storyline stronger. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things where really you look at it and you're like, I'm interested to see where it goes next week, because how are they gonna? They dropped the vase, it shattered, and they are now fixing the problem by hitting the pieces with a hammer. So I'm interested to see where this is going to go. We'll discuss Bound for Glory later on in the show. Joe, SmackDown, what was your favorite thing about SmackDown? Was it Zack Ryder's amazing performance, proving that we maybe don't always know what we're talking about?
No. You know, I mean, the show was filled with, like, Ryback versus two more jobbers. Alberto Del Rio beating Christian by submission. It's intriguing to the point where the guy who keeps flopping is all of a sudden beating the Intercontinental Champion.
And being put on as the face of Money in the Bank, at least until Raw.
Yeah. That's the worst poster I've ever seen.
They always do cheesy posters, although I loved the
No Way Out one.
Yeah, with Daniel Bryan and AJ.
That was awesome.
That was brilliant.
What was that?
That was brilliant. But, you know, that's when you can see the marketing people are just having a shit ton of fun. Zack Ryder beat Heath Slater. As soon as you saw Heath Slater, you knew whoever was going against him was going to win.
Yep.
Primetime Players beat the Usos, which was cool to see. Because even though Harrison tried to pick up an Uso to hedge his bet, I still got points over him with the Primetime Players.
I think that's just the biggest bullshit of all time. Oh, God.
Yeah, I got points either way on that one.
Even when I cheat, I can't win.
Sheamus beat Dolph Ziggler in a non-title match, but the really intriguing thing to me was Kane beating Daniel Bryan when AJ is the guest timekeeper. So the match is going on, and Daniel Bryan's got Kane in submission hold. AJ rings the bell. Kane never tapped. So the ref's yelling at her, like, what the fuck did you do? And Daniel Bryan's celebrating. Kane comes back and choke slam and win. And then AJ just skips off. And it was like the most intriguing part of SmackDown. Seriously, like, AJ is the most interesting character on WWE TV right now.
Yep. Completely agree. Her little thing that's going on, confusing everybody. She's fucking them around. She's fucking us around. I don't care. It's just great. Really is.
This is really great TV. I mean, I love when she just stands there like almost like completely innocent and then just that head tilt.
She's not innocent. There's no way.
Oh no! And then she tilts it back. Like, what are you, a fucking puppy? What is with the head tilt? But no, oh yeah, and she's totally working it and totally making WWE worth watching. A lot of the other stuff, like watching Zack Ryder, watching Heath Slater get beat down time and time again, meh. Alberto Del Rio beating Christian, okay. Ryback, bleh. I am intrigued by the tag team division with the Primetime Players and Usos. I'm liking what they're doing with the Primetime Players, but it's all AJ. It's all AJ right now.
That's a very good point. Now, do you think AJ's head tilt is kind of like Kane's head tilt?
Well, she was doing it when she was separate from Kane in the Daniel Bryan storyline.
Yeah, that's true. She did do a couple times.
So, it's just that tease girl thing,
I like the puppy. Where'd you throw the ball? I swear you threw the ball. How'd you do that? Are you a wizard? All right, so SmackDown, all AJ. Anything else?
Nope.
Cool. All right, so Raw. Basically, Raw was like last week Xeroxed. Kane rejected AJ. She laughed. ADR is being pushed heavily as the face of Money in the Bank right up until Cena announced he'll be in it. You can guarantee he's going to be on the poster. Cena channeled his inner me and strained an amazing metaphor far beyond what it should have, although his Yoda wasn't bad. Jericho looked tired, jet-lagged, and drunk, which really maybe he really is a rock star. Anyways, he said he says he'll be in the Money in the Bank match, and order now because operators are standing by, everybody. Jericho's going to be in the match. Heath Slater came out to put over Psycho Sid, who no-selled about as well as he used to. Although you have to admire WWE is giving the parents and the audience something to explain to their kids every week, which I think is kind of fun. It's just like, hey, this person used to be huge when I was your age. And yeah, they have not aged like wine, that's for sure. ADR and Ziggler have a match that basically didn't finish or mean anything. That was the worst booking I've seen. The match, it was for... Basically, we were one step away from Pepper on a Pole match, which is way too close to Pepper on a Pole match for my own comfort. They had to get a clipboard. They had the contract for a title shot against Sheamus. Match is going on. The clipboard falls to the mat. We get like the Three Stooges trying to catch the thing. It's being tossed everywhere. A couple times it looks really contrived, and you can tell their pacing was a little off. Sucker gets kicked out ringside, and they're like fighting over it. Then Sheamus comes out, says, "You know what, bro? Well, I can't do an Irish accent, But anyway, hey Lee, try and impersonate someone from Alabama. I bet that's what Ireland sounds like to you.
No, Ireland are normal. They've got Guinness over there. They get drunk every night. They've got some potatoes, but that's been very, very stereotypical. I don't want to insult anybody, but that's a bit harsh.
Okay, fine.
Yeah,
Ireland's
fuck you,
the
Harrison.
Irish. Well, it's not like they bombed anybody. Well, recently anyway. Basically,
they get bombed every night themselves. Okay.
You know what?
Oh, man.
I love you, Joe. Anyway, so yeah, basically, this is the problem. Sheamus comes out and says that Vicky booked this thing where both of them are going to be going for the title at SmackDown. But it was like, why have the match? It was basically 8 minutes of nothing. It was nothing.
No, you know what? I think it would have been much better had Ricardo Rodriguez actually gained control of it, and they would have called the match there.
See, that's what I was...
To have him freak out, oh shit, I gotta fight Sheamus, and actually have him...
Fight Sheamus.
Fight Sheamus, and
not win,
Be ready, some debacle happens, some chain of idiotic events, where he actually may win, but Del Rio's gotta break it up and cause a DQ.
I'm guessing that Ranjit Singh was held at gunpoint by Vince Russo for 10 minutes, and they had to write it in. Is my guess.
See, the thing is, Garvin brings it up. He doesn't want to spread rumors, but Russo is available. His specialty was these shitty pole matches, and this was a very Russo-style ending in that it made no sense, wasted all of our time, and made us wonder, wait, why didn't you do something better like this?
It was weird.
Anyway, it was awful. Chad saying, "Oh my God, screw Sheamus, screw the coast of Triple H. This was good. Even the goofy scramble was slick looking. At times it was, and then at times it was." And then at times it really wasn't. You could tell that they hit it at some points, and then that's one of those things that if you don't get it 100% right, it looks terrible. And Chat's basically agreeing with Joe. Give Ricardo the match. That would have been great. Ricardo to win the world title, hand it to ADR, doing the Andre the Giant move. Wow, that's a reference from yesteryear.
It's almost like Samoa Joe giving was it Kurt Angle the world title belt after King of the Mountain match?
Oh yes.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, I think I remember that.
Yes.
Yes.
That...
So, So anyway, so yeah, that match basically didn't mean anything. So awesome. Hopefully the SmackDown one does. The Divas Battle Royale hit me with a bolt of inspiration. Okay, you know that comic Garfield minus Garfield? I'm thinking we make these little boxes that we can sell to people. They plug into the back of their TV, and what it does is it mutes King. And we'll be rich as hell if we sell these guys. I'm telling you. All it would do is just mute King. Yeah, every time he talks, it mutes him. Whenever there's a Divas match, it would be awesome. And don't tell me we would make $1 million.
Did you not like the backstage segment?
No, King.
Oh, King. Sorry, I thought you said Kane.
I'm sorry, my accent threw you off, Lee.
Yeah, you're not fucking normal. All right.
Well, yeah, anyway. But it's not a cultural thing. He's just not fucking normal.
No, yeah, I'd be the first one to tell you that. Anyway, I think we can make a mint doing that. And Jericho came out and traded his dignity to plug his little band, and Big Show put Cena in the Money in the Bank match, basically with that, that little thing. But yeah, and Colossal Clutch, a debut of the half camel clutch, because I don't think a human being exists that can get around those thighs. So the half camel clutch is now Big Show has a new move, which is kind of cool. But yeah, much like SmackDown, Raw was all AJ. AJ looked fan-freaking-tastic. And I was watching with my wife. She was watching True Blood. She actually stopped at one point and looked up and was like, made me rewind it so she could watch it again. Because seriously, she is that good. She is selling this. And Colin King, K-I-N-G, Lee, doing a terrible job of it.
All right, well.
And yeah, Vicky Guerrero was in a swimsuit. Chad said, I love Vicky Guerrero, and she looked good in a swimsuit. Yes, I say.
She wasn't that bad, but I'm not going to lie, there was a Divas Battle Royal that barely stuck to PG, so, you know.
Yeah, the second they announced it, I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm going to want to mute during this, but I know I shouldn't because I'm going to need to talk about it on the show, so I had to listen to King go on and on and on. But he didn't even, anyway, I will go into it later. Anyway, so that was Raw. Hopefully next week's Raw maybe won't have Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, and Kane in the match in the beginning where AJ comes skipping out and interrupts it again. Who knows?
Also, just very quickly, with that ending of Raw, we got it from another site, I won't lie, but the ending of Raw was exactly the same as the ending to Raw about 3 years ago. Like, exactly the same. Cena show with Cena in that position, and the fades to black. Exactly the same.
With the same move and everything?
Same move, everything. The same camera shot, everything.
Huh. Because I thought the whole Colossal Clutch, I thought that was this week.
What?
Like, that was the big debut, was that he has a new...
Oh, yeah, no, he's used it before.
No,
yeah,
Big Show's used that move before.
Yeah, but did they call it the Colossal Clutch, though?
Yeah, I don't know. They could have said it was the crap clutch, but they'll just put it on, won't they?
Well, I'm just saying, they haven't branded it. Anyway.
I can't believe it!
Well, regardless, Raw was Raw. Hopefully next week's isn't like this week's, which was like last week's. It's time for Ask FTW. You can email questions, emailing us to questions@ftwpodcast.com, or send us a tweet at FTWPodcast using the hashtag AskFTW, and post on our Facebook wall, facebook.com/FTWPodcast. Quick hit style, so let's just dive right into it. On June 15, 2011, we talked about whether or not the Undertaker streak should ever be broken. Our opinion was that it should not. This week, a solid year later, Cross 3061980, which I really hope isn't your phone number, buddy.
No, it looks like it's his birthday. Cross, March 6th, 1980.
Anyway, if basically he's saying he definitely agrees that no one should break the streak, but we must also say that that Undertaker continue to wrestle, then there's only one man he should face, John Cena. As much as a lot of people hate him, who else is there? You could say Jericho, but whatever felt right. The only man, The Undertaker, should he continue on, is that he should face Cena. Do you agree? Cena Taker's last match will most likely be at WrestleMania 29. I'm thinking 30, though, just for the nice round number. Should it be Taker versus Cena? Joe?
That would be fine. I would love to see Taker versus Cena and love to see Taker go over on him. I think that's probably going to be the biggest honor that Cena can achieve right now, is to lose to Undertaker.
Fair enough. Lee?
It's definitely the match they've got lined up. Must be. There's no one else, and I mean no one else that he can face, and it'll be even Sting wouldn't match it as far as I'm concerned. And if Cena won, there would be hell, and they might not even stay on the actual air if Cena won.
No, that's fair. Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a good, it's a great good versus evil type match, which the Undertaker has always been a fan of. And it would be pretty epic. And like Joe said, it's probably the best honor that Cena could hit at the moment.
Wow, I was completely against the idea, just because I thought it was nonsensical until Rob said that. Yeah, Taker's always been a fan of those whole good versus evil matches where it's very black and white type of thing, and so this fits. I don't want this to happen. I don't want this to happen. Oh, I don't mind if this isn't the last one. I think the last match should be against Kane just because storyline purposes. But if Cena beats Taker, I hope that never happens because seriously, our inbox cannot have that kind of concentrated hate shoved into it from you people. Real quick, Garvin, what do you think, buddy?
Well, I think the match that they were trying to build before was Undertaker versus Lesnar. I still think that's that's a good opportunity. Not a great match, but I think that's a better match than Cena versus Taker.
But he's already beaten Lesnar.
Well, he's
previously,
also
so I don't think we've really seen Taker versus Cena.
Yeah, not at WrestleMania.
I don't think we've seen it on pay-per-view either.
I don't think we've seen it before, unless it was right when John Cena started out and he was getting jobbed a bit. But I mean, there's that. I mean, do they bring back, I don't know, Goldberg or something? I don't know. I mean, just trying to think of like Vader fucking.
Chat brings a really good point, and I think this is what WWE would be thinking if they booked this. If it is Cena, then the streak needs to break. Cena is so stale, I don't even boo him. Wow. This would definitely get him, would basically get them to react to him again. That's a really good point. Face it, if Cena beats Taker, I guarantee you every single person on the dirt sheets would be tuned into Raw that next day. If only to see Cena come out on the mic and see how that crowd reacts.
It could also very much backfire in terms of they will not watch the product again.
I would be interested in leaving the product if that was the case.
Because, on seriousness, I think that is one thing that even the top guys would be so even annoyed about. They would not watch it again.
Yeah.
I kind of like that bold, daring, poke the bear type of thing. Although this is like poking a bear with a 12-foot flaming rod that's sharpened to a point and has its children on it.
Imagine One Night Stand 2006 with RVD and Cena. That times 10 million.
Oh yeah, that was one of my wrestling moments best wrestling moments of all time. Where Cena takes off his shirt and throws it to the crowd. They throw it back, and that goes on for 10 minutes. Like the hat, then he did the shirt, and they just kept throwing it back.
Throw it back.
Yeah, real quick from the chat also, it would be a riot if Cena beat Undertaker at WrestleMania, not a WWE riot. I'm talking ECW tossing the trash, jumping over the rail type riot. And let's be honest, WrestleMania, those kids aren't going to be there. It's going to be us. It's going to be the idiots like us that shelled out $200 for tickets to see this thing.
Yep.
I mean, you're going to have
nosebleeds.
Yeah, well, no. Think about it. Think about how the crowd was in Miami. That crowd seeing Taker lose to Cena, holy shit! And if this happened in some place like Madison Square Garden or, God forbid, Chicago. You thought Detroit could throw a riot? Oh, you ain't seen cop cars burn yet, sucker.
Wow.
Also from or LA, gotta give my props to LA. Wow. Cena, from the chat, Cena has done the job. I hate the character concept as much as the next guy, but he has put in the work. He has earned this. Yeah, that's the logical thing. The problem is, though, if you're surrounded by 60,000 people all booing at the same time and you're chucking those plastic beer bottles, you're not thinking, you know what? Cena, you've been a stand-up guy. You've done all the tours. You've been in here through your divorce and everything. We're going to let you have this one. No.
I think you're missing... No, I agree that the match should take place, but also, Taker's been there for... I can't even remember how long, and he's putting
since November 1991.
There you go. And
or was it 90 or 91? I don't remember.
It could be 90 actually. But he's done all the work, and he's done pretty much what Cena does. Don't get me wrong, he's not been the one company guy, but he's worked his arse off, and he's given us probably, I would argue, more memories than Cena.
No, that's also a really good point. I mean, you got two icons like that. How do you handle it? Anyway, awesome. Cross, thank you so much. Coming in a year later. Just fantastic, buddy. I appreciate it. That was a great topic. Garvin, our esteemed moderator, should we move past the idea that WWE and TNA has to decide who's heel and who's a face? Basically like Daniel Bryan, Sheamus, Punk, Cena, Aries, and just let the guys go out and react to whatever the fans give them. What do you think, Joe?
I would love to see that kind of thing, and I think TNA pretty much did that with Austin Aries. You know, they wanted him to be a heel, but the fans got behind him so much. It's like Austin. Austin was supposed to be a big heel. The fans got behind him, and that's why he became a face. You know, I think that you should let the fans make the decision. I think that would make a very interesting change as opposed to just cramming a guy down your throat to make him a face. Hi, John Cena.
All right, Lee.
I actually think this kind of happens already, and that's the best point to make is probably exactly what Joe just said with the whole Stone Cold, 2001 when he turned heel, and the fans just hated it, and they turned him straight back face pretty much about 6 months later or something stupid. So I think the fans do it anyway, but as long as you push it and push it and push it.
Okay, Rob.
Yeah, I think TNA already is doing this, at least on a couple of issues. I mean, you've got Austin Aries and you've got Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe has always struck me as somebody who's supposed to be a heel, but the fans fucking love him. So I think pro wrestling as a business is kind of evolving to the point where you're really not a heel or a face. It's you've got this character concept, and you know the fans react to it how they will, and that's what determines things going forward.
That's actually a really good point, and also chat basically says what I have, which is TNA has more faith in their talent and listens to their fans far more than WWE, which is true. I would say TNA is much better when it comes to this. It seems like whenever they have a new character or a new talent they're debuting, they send them out for a few weeks, see how the crowd, take the temperature of the crowd, and then from there they use that to build the character. Like Rob said, Samoa Joe. I would throw Mr. Anderson into that mix as well. Jeff Hardy is another great example. Guys who are Austin Aries, these are guys who they kind of sent out there as they are and said, however the crowd reacts to you, that's how we're going to push you for the next 4 to 5 months. And that's where we're at with... so that's where I think where TNA is. I think WWE is too controlling when it comes to that. Robert on Facebook wonders what would happen with the X Division now that it's the stepping stone to the TNA Championship. Basically, kind of like it's the TNA's Money in the Bank match, which I think with briefcase, which I think is kind of a lame comparison, but there you are. One person he brings up is Joey Ryan to be the next guy to pull this off. He also wonders, which is what we were all going to be talking about anyway, with the X Division title wrapped up and Bound for Glory, that we could see some kind of swerve coming out of that has either Storm, Aries, Samoa Joe, or Bully Ray as the next champ besides Rude. What do you guys think about the X Division champion? Who's going to be the next one that hands it in for the TNA championship? And how much of a factor do you see the X Division title being that's wrapped into the Bound for Glory race? Joe?
Okay. All right. Here's the thing, though. The X Division cash-in thing only works at Destination X. If I heard them correctly, so it's a once-a-year thing.
You did.
Right.
Yeah. So it's less of a factor that way, in my opinion. Now, if they could do it like every other pay-per-view, then you totally crapped on the title. The fact that it's only once a year, I like it. Could it be wrapped up in the Bound for Glory series race? Maybe, but I don't think the series needs it. Everybody's seeing Storm coming out, but I mean, you've got a lot of good options out of there.
Right.
I mean, are we going to get into that more? Is this where we're going to talk about it?
No, we'll get into that more. I was just thinking
Okay.
if you were thinking of Swerve coming out. Do you think there's going to be some kind of massive swerve?
Massive, no, but I see a slight one coming.
Okay. Lee, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd see a slight one coming. I think it's a great idea, actually. I think it's a Destination X one time. It can probably create more interest in the X Division title, which I think needs to happen, and I think the TNA have started realizing this a little bit more. I don't know why. What was the reason for him having to give up the X Division title? I didn't catch that.
What was that now?
Sorry, very quickly. Why does he have to give away his X Division title for a chance at the TNA title?
Because they don't want to have one guy with both titles.
Right. Hogan doesn't want one guy with two belts, so He said, "Hey, if you want a shot to prove your main event, if you want a shot at the world title, you have to give up the X Division title."
Yeah, that's fair enough then. But yeah, I think it's definitely put some more focus on the X Division title, which I think it's been more done at. I can't see him losing it to any guy from the X Division just because it's the X Division. That's just my opinion.
Right.
Okay. Rob, what do you think?
I think this is good because it gives people it gives you a way to get the title off of somebody like an Austin Aries who's just dominating the division and who should be a main eventer like we've said. I do see a little bit of a swerve coming up because since we've got time before Storm wins the Bound for Glory series and takes on Rude again, I think you could have Aries beat Rude and then have Rude chasing the title.
No, that's fair. I like this because I like it the same way. I understand the appeal of this the same way that you can understand why college basketball and college football is so huge, because it's the stepping stone to the pros. The X Division now becomes relevant to the main title race, and I love that. And I think, there's going to be a swerve with the X Division title wrapped up in the Bound for Glory race. I don't know how big it's going to be because we're still kind of feeling this out with, like, you can only cash in at Destination X, so I don't know. But I definitely, really, it's just compelling all around as far as from TNA, which is awesome to see. At Mr. Lucho Libre on Twitter said, how will Impact Wrestling cope with all the injuries and departures in the X Division? Like we were talking about with the X Division title. Face it, the roster's kind of slim right now. What do you think, Joe?
I can see it being slim, but I think this is the time where you can get guys to step up. You could do another run with Samoa Joe. You could bring in Joey Ryan. That's the whole spark of the gut check thing is to get in new guys. It's a shame that Zema Ion isn't getting a better push after the Jesse Sorensen incident. That sucks, but I think both those guys probably would have been skyrocketing had that injury not happened. It totally changed the X Division landscape.
Okay, the other thing I do want to bring up, Joe, and then I'll kick it back to you, weight limit. If they keep the weight limit, then you can't have Samoa Joe in there. You can't have those giant guys in that division. So do you still see that not being so much of a big deal?
I think they have to find some way to restrict it to style. That was the thing. X Division was always, I was out of the box. It wasn't Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels.
There you go.
I had the Daniels in there. I think like both those guys, phenomenal matches together. Throwing
right.
AJ. But it's mostly like it's a cruiserweight thing. But you just don't want to have too many big fat dudes in there.
Okay, Lee, what do you think? Do you think it hurts him even with the weight limit and everything, or no?
No, I don't think it actually does. I'd say the X Division is more of a brand in itself, and it's got distinct rules. And the weight limit, I don't think matters that much. I don't think really anyone's really noticed, specifically the X Division having departures with it, injuries, whatever, because they're kind of doing a good job in keeping it relevant as well as putting on some bloody good matches at the same time. I can't see it being. I don't think it'll be affected.
Okay, Rob, what do you think?
I don't see this being too much of a problem. Let's not forget that TNA let go a lot of X Division talent. You have people like Amazing Red that TNA could go and reacquire. You have other people out there. You can use Gut Check to bring in some more X Division style talent. People like Joey Ryan, others. TNA has options, so I don't think it'll hurt too much.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I look at this and I think about what TNA is kind of setting up with like their farm school and everything, and the fact that the Gut Check is almost like a perfect avenue for them to start shoving guys in the X Division with some heat on them. So I think TNA has options. I think with the limited roster, they are limited, and I can understand why they're getting kind of scared, but it's not like, if this happened a year ago, it'd be a lot worse than they are right now. Nate from the Marks Facebook group, awesome group, everybody should join, basically wonders if he thinks he's the only one who thinks that having Money in the Bank match where only former champions can compete is a stupid idea. The quote only former champ stipulation just says to him that younger guys are absolutely going to have to wait longer for their chance to shine, which is a shame if you ask me. Agree or disagree, Joe?
I agree and disagree. I think that this is basically just going to keep big people involved with the WWE title, but you flip it around and look at the world title, you're going to see a lot more younger guys at the world title, with that title being the quote-unquote SmackDown title. SmackDown's going to be the younger show, WWE is going to be the drama show. You're still setting up some borders.
Okay, Lee?
I'm going to slap bang agree with Nate. I think it's a stupid idea. Why would you want to see Chris Jericho, is it Kane, Big Show as well, and Jericho and John Cena in one ring in a ladder match? It's got disaster written all over it. It really has. It's an awful idea. And if that main event, I'm telling you, I will be so annoyed. And if they start saying, oh, well, Money in the Bank, it's supposed to be Money in the Bank, that's what's supposed to main event, look back last year.
No, that's a really good point. Rob, what do you think?
I also agree with Nate. I think limiting it to former champions sucks. Money in the Bank as a gimmick was originally designed to help push the new guys into the spotlight. It's how CM Punk really broke through and made his name. It helped The Miz break through. WWE has traditionally used this to help new guys get through, and that's what they should continue to use it for.
Yeah, I totally agree. This is a terrible idea for exactly what Rob said. I mean, let's face it. Where would CM Punk be if he was not back-to-back Money in the Bank champion back when his career wasn't such a big deal? I mean, it's a stepping stone for some of these guys, and it's a great way to test them out in the main event title race. So the idea of putting only former main eventers in it just kind of defeats the whole purpose. Chat saying Cena, it's basically Cena's in the match. It will be the main event. There it is. I mean, that's my point. And he'll be on the posters, and ADR won't be the face of it anymore. Joe, you have something else you want to add before we move on?
Yeah, if you're going to do only former champions, add more. That's one where I would want to see more people. And then looking at the younger one, the world title Money in the Bank match, I can't wait to see Ziggler and Cody Rhodes in that same match. It'll be brilliant.
Okay. Nicholas from the Marks Facebook group. Basically, I don't see any false from this. True or false, AJ Lee has been the WWE breakout star of 2012. Does anybody disagree with that?
Yep.
Joe?
Yes.
What?
Yep.
Daniel Bryan has had quite the freaking run this year. He's neck and neck with AJ. I want to applaud Scott for being the first person I knew on the AJ train, though.
Okay. Lee?
She's brilliant, but she's not the breakout star. Daniel Bryan is good. Dolph Ziggler, by the end of the year, will have broken out even further.
Ooh.
Oh, shut up.
The only catch with that one is that he's been doing that longer. He's been on his upswing much longer than AJ.
He has, but more people are starting to recognize it now than ever before.
Gotcha.
Shit, I really want to agree with you. Rob?
I'm going to say true on this one. I think AJ has done better than Dolph Ziggler, who's been struggling for a while, or Daniel Bryan, who had a brief breakout period and is now kind of just stagnated. I think AJ has really been the breakout, like for things that we said earlier on. She's been driving Raw and SmackDown. Her storyline and her performance in it has been carrying things.
But in a year's time, do you see her main eventing?
Oh, come on. That's not a fair argument. If you look at it...
It's a perfectly fair argument.
No. From my point of view, AJ's the breakout star because she is working against the curve. Face it, she is right now in a storyline with the WWE title and the world title. She's the most compelling thing about it, and there is no way in hell she can even hold the gold.
That's fine for the
meantime. Now tell me that is not astonishing.
How is she in the picture with the world title?
Yeah, that's a good point. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant when Daniel Bryan was holding it. She was in that title when Daniel Bryan was holding it. She was in the title race with that, and she was the most compelling thing about it.
But
No.
It's the breakout star. And breakout star to me means someone like Wade Barrett when he did Nexus or CM Punk from last year. AJ will not be in the main event next year.
Right, because she can't be in the main event because she's let's be honest, she's hamstrung because she's a woman. But I gotta think, even with if
I blame bad booking for that.
Well,
Yeah.
Look what TNA could do back in the day.
no, that's a really good point. Yeah, but it's I gotta look at it. I gotta grade it on a curve, and I gotta say, all things being equal, AJ's having a much better run. However, Yeah, you ask me this again in December. If Dolph Ziggler keeps going the way I really hope he's going, I might say it's him.
Yeah, I'm just saying AJ's got a lot of potential to be burned out if they push her really hard over the next couple months. That's all I'm saying. Like we saw it happen with other guys too.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, I mean, you could say it happened to Wade Barrett.
Yeah.
All right. Gary on Facebook asked, when do you think Heath Slater's losing streak is going to end? And, well, we'll do that one real quick. Joe.
What?
When do you think Heath Slater's losing streak is going to end? It was a fan from the show, Joe.
I know that. Seriously, it's not.
It's
You can say he's got no soul, but look at his freckles. That each one of those is proof that he's stolen a soul. He gets one per soul stolen. Anyway, sorry, bad ginger humor.
Who's got him on the draft?
I don't think anybody does.
Oh, that's fair enough.
I think Voices does. No, nobody.
No one does. Lee, what do you think? Is his losing streak going to end?
Probably around Raw's 2000th episode.
Rob, do you see Heath Slater finally getting a win?
If he fights Hornswoggle, possibly. Outside of that, no.
I'll take that bet.
I'll take that bet.
The reason why I bring this up is Gary also brought up a rather good one, which is, do you think the primetime players will win the tag team titles, or do you think that when the time comes for them to take on the WWE Tag Team Champions, they will be buried, which is kind of what's been happening with the tag division? What do you think about that one, Joe?
I think the primetime players will win the title. I think they're going to hang on to it for a little while, but I think they're going to reignite, at least for a little while, the tag division. You're going to see the Usos. You're going to see Primo and Epico going in there. You're going to see more guys.
Okay, Lee.
It's going to be fun because R-Truth's broken his foot, so it's going to be fun how long he's going to actually feud with the Usos and whatever. Because technically, isn't it after 30 days they're supposed to give up the title?
Oh, don't bring logic into the WWE.
That's a pretty good point. Yeah, Rob, what do you think?
I don't know. It's so hard to predict what the WWE is going to do with tag team. I'm going to go with Barry because that's what the WWE does over and over again with the tag team division. So.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Rob on that one. I mean, if it was any other division, sure, but it's the tag division, it's WWE. We've been in this situation before a few times, and I look at this, and my gut's telling me that Primetime is going down. Nick on Facebook said, I just finished watching the highlight footage on ImpactWrestling.com, and my thoughts are as follows. Out of all the Bound for Glory series matches, Kurt Angle was the only one to pick up a submission win, which is worth 10 points, with everyone else getting 7 points from a pinfall. It seems pretty apparent that James Storm will be facing Roode at Bound for Glory. We don't know that, even though I get first pick when we pick who's going to win. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's going to be random. My bad. It's going to be random.
Yeah, random.
That's right. Basically, if you think it's pretty apparent that Storm's facing Roode at Bound for Glory, do you think that this feud between Storm and Angle is going to resurface? Joe?
Maybe. That's the best thing. I don't know if Storm and Angle necessarily is going to resurface. Let's see, but I'm gonna wait for the predictions.
Okay. Lee.
I'd say probably not. I actually think, surprisingly, James Storm is kind of going to do a Ryback in a weird way. He's kind of just going to go to the Bound for Glory and just knock the living shit out of anybody who stands in his way. Because I really think they'll build him up, and I really think they'll just give him straight to Bobby Roode.
Okay. Rob.
I think this would be a great place for a mini Storm Angle feud. But I tend to agree with Lee. I think Storm's just going to go right through the BFG to Roode.
Okay, this is my favorite thing about Bound for Glory is reading the tea leaves from the beginning. Seriously, it's like almost like bracketing the Final Four. For me, I don't know. I really want to see Storm versus Roode at Bound for Glory. I want to see that match. I want to see that go on for a while. But I don't know. I mean, Storm and Angle. I mean, it does kind of write itself. And Chad's saying around September, Storm versus Angle in a neck-to-neck match. I could see it going down to face Bobby Roode at Bound for Glory for the title, James Storm and Kurt Angle are going to be 1 and 2. The other thing for Bound for Glory, speaking of Angle's win, it was basically an exhibition of Angle's favorite moves, courtesy of a really canned-up blow-up doll in Robbie E. Do you think this will hold true for the rest of the series? Basically, Robbie E is going to serve as a placeholder opponent, allowing someone to get over on him, or do you actually see him putting points on the board? Joe, since he's your favorite to win the whole thing, do you think that's going to be the case?
Robbie E is just going to be point fodder.
He's just going to jaw the entire time. Okay, that's fair.
Practically, they'll give him a couple of the brief wins, but no, he's just points. He's the Heath Slater of TNA.
Oh, you've just stole my line.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Your new line. You can't say Heath Slater of TNA because then you would be pointless and derivative. What do you think?
I think he's kind of the Zack Ryder of WWE. He's kind of, he's not really going to do much, and he's just kind of, hovering around. He'll get the occasional win, but it won't mean anything.
I'm sorry, Joe. Lee wins because he's got the comparison on 2 levels. They both basically have the same gimmick, and they're both losing at the same time. Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think Rob. They might give Robbie E a few points, but I think he's basically just going to get jobbed and just beat the shit out of. I mean, it never speaks well for your chances to win a match when Kurt Angle walks down the aisle laughing at you.
Yeah, that's never a good sign. Yeah, he's just going to be 3-point fodder. I could see him coming out of this with a pretty decent feud near the end, but for right now, yeah, he's just going to be 3 points for whoever he's facing. All right. So we do movie reviews here on the show, and on our backstage Facebook group, a bunch of movies are being tossed around for me to review, a lot of these being porn. Really too much porn, you guys. You really got to lay off on the porn. Regardless, we're going to assemble a list, and we're going to put up on our Facebook page, and we're going to talk about it on Twitter, and we want you to vote on which one you would like to see me suffer through next, and therefore review.
Meet the Flintstones.
No, I am not doing the Flintstones porn. Is there any wrestler that's on there?
Doesn't matter. We're not on about
No.
wrestling.
I as much as I think it's hilarious to watch Harrison try to review porn, there has to be a wrestling correlation. And I'm sorry, but missionary doesn't count. As like pinning.
Wheelbarrow style is not an approved wrestling.
Just because you say you're pile driving or does not mean it's a wrestling related term.
So there are a few stipulations with this. One, like Joe said, has to be wrestling. It has to feature a wrestler. Basically, the moves are going to put up. You can suggest your own, too, if you can find any. Has to feature a wrestler in a prominent role, current or past. 2, kind of stay away from heavy topics. Orton was in that movie a while ago about the growing up in the 70s. Dealt with a lot of kind of heavy things. Not much fun to really poke fun at those. 3, no documentaries for obvious reasons. 4, you can suggest a porn. I am going to do the China porn where it's a wrestler... it's like wrestling parody, and come on, why wouldn't I? You can do, just kind of keep it to a minimum, and basically, while we're outside the 2 China porns, we've got nothing left. However, bonus points if someone can get the copy of Operation Belvis Bash in my hands. Bonus points if you can do that. Oh, you guys don't know about that movie?
I do.
Operation Belvis Bash.
Normal.
Oh, God, no, this movie it's got everything you need. It has... you know what? Okay, it's the Citizen Kane of my movie reviews. I've been looking for it forever. For one, it's got the Holy Trinity. It was written, directed, and starred by the same guy, which is always... what is it? The Room. The second you see that, you know you're going to see a disaster. Second, it has the creme de la creme of C-level stars in that it has Corey Feldman, Daniel Baldwin, not even the awesome one for Firefly, and Frank Stallone. But you want to know what the best part about this is? It has the Iron Sheik in it.
And one thing, Harrison, your Adam Baldwin from Firefly is in no relation to the Baldwin brothers.
Exactly. That's the other thing I was pointing at. Adam Baldwin is not related to him.
But Daniel Baldwin is
one of the Baldwins, and he's like the 5th level Baldwin. Anyway, yeah, Frank Stallone, Daniel Baldwin, Corey Feldman, and the Iron Sheik in a movie written, directed, and starred by the same guy. It is my Citizen Kane. I cannot find a copy anywhere. If you can, I don't know. I'll figure out something. I'll reward you somehow. But Operation Belvis...
Is it even out yet?
Oh, it's been out.
It has been out. You can go to the website. You can see the trailer. I urge you to do it. It's absolutely insane. Anyway, Bound for Glory series predictions. Who we think's going to win the Bound for Glory series. I'm going to hit my randomizer. Lo and behold, I get first pick, and it's James Storm.
Good, because that's definitely not my pick.
Okay, Joe, who are you picking?
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say the Pope. For me, it's between the Pope and Bully Ray.
Yeah, I got to be honest. Bully Ray was a pretty good pick for me. But yeah, I think it is interesting that they're throwing Pope in this. I mean, you gotta admire that. We haven't seen Pope in a while, then all of a sudden, wham, he's thrown in this and gets a win, no less. Lee, who are you picking?
I've made my pick.
Oh, fuck you. No, I'm changing it. Harrison. Pick someone else. Take Angle. Kurt Angle's a pretty solid pick.
No, I was going to go for Bully Ray, to be completely honest. It was between Bully Ray and Robbie, and I think Bully Ray has more reasons. So,
Rob, who are you taking?
Well, I'm tempted to agree with Harrison and pick James Storm, but if we're not able to pick somebody that's already been picked, I will take Kurt Angle.
Okay, so you're going to say Kurt Angle?
If I can't pick James Storm, because you've picked him already, yes.
Did someone say Samoa Joe already?
No. You
No.
It's a really solid.
I'm thinking Samoa Joe or Magnus now. I'm going to go Samoa Joe.
Samoa Joe? Samoa Joe taking your if you want to get your pick in, post it on our Facebook page. We'll have our Bound for Series predictions. We're going to post them on Facebook. Put yours in the comment section. I'd love to see really who the fan favorite is as far as our fans are concerned, our friends and everything on the show. See who you guys pick as far as who's going to win the Bound for Glory series. All right, so now we're just going to run through news. It's been reported that when Karma returns, she'll be a babyface and we'll start a feud with Beth. Do you think that's a good plan? Real quick, you guys, go. Joe?
Sure.
Lee?
she's going to be a babyface if she comes back. Crowd have been wanting it for quite a while, so she'll get a big pop.
Rob?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Karma versus Beth, win-win.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, she's totally going to be the fan favorite. And Beth is doing pretty good as far as heel glamazon going on. I like the idea of... And Beth is the only person I would really trust in a match against Karma that could hold her own. Rey Mysterio is set to return next week from his suspension. So whoever has Rey Mysterio in your team, congratulations. It's being reported that WWE is considering a double main event for SummerSlam that would feature Brock Lesnar versus Triple H and John Cena challenging CM Punk for the WWE Championship. So hooray! Is over-the-top annoying promos that Heath Slater doing as part of late an improvement or a detriment for him? Do you think he's overselling his gimmick? Joe?
No, I think he's doing what he needs to do. They're throwing him out on TV like, go be an a-hole, and he's like, done. He's earning a paycheck on that one. I can't blame him for it. Being on TV is better than not being on TV.
Okay. Lee?
Yeah, you're going to remember the 4 weeks of fame that he had with these segments. It'll be fun to watch back.
Yeah, that's fair. Rob?
I agree with Joe. I mean, if you're paid to be a dick, go out and be a dick.
So who's paying you, Harrison?
Fuck you, Joe. I was actually going to do that one.
I'm sorry, Harrison. I left that wide open for you.
I'm so glad that you got there first, because I know he would have said it was me, so well done.
No, it's going to be Joe. That's the thing, Rob. You set that one up, and both of us went for it over the net, and Joe got to it before me, which is ironic, considering that I'm pretty sure I'm more athletic than him.
Me and verbs don't mix.
Except for sitting and swearing at Harrison. No, I'm totally with Joe. Yeah, they're sending him out. They're like, you want a paycheck, go out there and put this guy over. And he's doing a respectable job of it. He's not doing as good as Jericho would do in the match, but segment-wise, yeah. I mean, you hate him, but you really hate him. You don't love to hate him, you just hate him. WWE announced that in October they'll be debuting a 1-hour program called WWE Main Event on the Ion Network. No word as of yet as of what it's going to be or how long it's going to be on the Ion Network before it's moved on to their network. Ion, that's cable, right? Or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so another show on cable. All right, time for Win Fail.
Women wrestlers aren't getting paid? Why do you do a job?
Here is your win.
You do any job,
And fail
is to fucking get paid!
of the week.
Your wins of the week, go Joe.
My win of the week, I'm not gonna go with AJ. I'm actually gonna go with the tag team match, the Primetime Players beating Jimmy and Jey Uso, because I got points over Harrison.
Damn it! I can't.
And it was a good match. I like seeing those two.
Stop. Do you really have to keep pointing out that you got points over me?
Yes.
Lee, you're win of the week. Asshole.
I'm going to go away with Kane telling AJ that she's a psycho. I found it hilarious. It's brilliant.
Pod calling the kettle black.
Rob, your win of the week.
My win of the week, just for pure shits and giggles, I'm going to go with Kurt Angle, Robbie E, just because, like I said, I thought it was hilarious that Robbie E issues the open challenge. Kurt Angle looks around and just, walks down the aisle laughing his ass off. You knew Robbie E was going to get the shit kicked out of him.
Awesome. My win of the week is I am reasonably sure that the back of Brodus' onesie says "shit," which is beyond awesome. I swear, if you watch it, I swear that's what it says vertically on his back, which I really hope is the case.
And the really funny thing is that's probably a Booker T-ism.
No, dude, that's from blaxploitation movies. It's shit, that type of thing.
Have you listened to Booker T?
Yeah, it is Booker T. Booker T is basically a walking blaxploitation movie.
I was gonna say.
He's awesome. I love him to death, but dude, tone it down. All right. Win of the week, Garvin.
Yeah, my win of the week is that TNA finally has me to the point where I'm really excited about watching the next episode. Like, I don't have that same feeling with WWE anymore. Like, I watch WWE and I'm thinking, man, they should have done that better. But with TNA, I'm thinking, man, I cannot wait till next week.
Okay, real quick, I'm going to basically go on record saying I completely agree with Garvin, and I'm reasonably sure we kind of predicted this, didn't we? Rob, you, and me, and I think it was... Yeah, we talked about this, I want to say the last pay-per-view. We said this would be TNA's kind of breakout moment where they turn the corner, and now they're more compelling than WWE.
This is the big week for them, though. This is where they, I'm pretty sure some kind of, I think it's basketball over there, isn't on at the same time as TNA, so this is the real test this week.
Okay.
Ratings-wise.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting to see, because the Heat aren't playing. So, yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what happens down there. But, yeah, I'm totally with you, Garv. All right, fails of the week. Your fail of the week, go, Joe.
Psycho Sid versus Heath Slater. Oh my. Psycho Sid, you can see why he had a WWE tryout some time ago and got nowhere. That was the driest match I've seen. I mean, Heath Slater tried, but damn, Sid. Really?
It's a bit
Powerbomb! And again. So bad.
That was not harsh, Lee. He is absolutely right. And Sid no-sold every single one of
he's
Slater's
there.
hits.
He's there as a legend for 2 minutes. Let him have his moment.
Yeah, I know, but it's basically like, this is everything that we hated about Psycho Sid when he was in his prime. Now we get to watch him do it as he's old.
Okay, fine. We will extend the Santino versus Swagger match. Fine, have it your way.
Okay, all right. First, I didn't say that. Don't put words in my mouth. All right, fine. Fail of the week, Lee.
I'm going to go with TNA's main event, the finale reveal. It was awful. It really was awful.
Oh, the swerve, the whole, it's not my baby, it is your baby. And then Maury comes out and says, no, it's your baby. And then the black guy dances.
Yeah, and Jeremy Kyle comes out.
Sorts
Sorts it out.
Yeah, exactly. Rob, your fail of the week.
That King still has a job announcing.
Damn it.
I've got to defend him to a point. You know damn well he's being fed lines.
Not
See,
necessarily.
no, I don't think he's being fed lines. I think the WWE is feeding him lines, and he's ignoring what he's being fed and just going off script.
Can you imagine if he's actually cleaning up what they're telling him?
Oh, God. But, okay.
That is a thought too scary to even comprehend, Joe.
Okay, my fail of the week, and I rewound the DVR to make sure I was absolutely right on this, and I am. King could not name one single diva in that battle royale. At one point, he said, "Which one is that?" He did not name anybody except for AJ when it was her and Vicky in the ring. At no point and Cole was trying to keep it going. King could not name one single diva until Cole said their name. And you're telling me he's got to be one half of the announce table on their linchpin show? That is inexcusable. I'm sorry.
If it's any consolation, it was just blonde hair everywhere.
Blonde and brunette hair. All those freaking hair extensions. But still, I mean, this to me was nail in the coffin. I am so over on this guy.
I think you were being quite harsh on that one, actually, because I think you'll find there was a palm tree in the way.
Lee, it was a one-dimensional, or it was a two-dimensional palm tree, and it was perpendicular to where he was.
Did you just use the word perpendicular?
Perpendicular. Or should I say
I understand.
Yes.
Well, that was hilarious.
I will sip my tea and say
New fail of the week, Harrison.
Because my terrible English accent. Fails of the week from the chat. Sheamus on the mic to make the triple threat. Yes, thank you. Money in the Bank for only WWE former champions. Yeah, absolutely. And fail of the week, Raw's main event. It was so bad he just turned it off right after Sheamus. He missed the objectifying women because of the main event. That's fair. You really didn't miss much. Garvin, your fail. Round it out, buddy.
My fail of the week is that our friends and listeners and whatnot finally gave us a reason to review NXT, and then the WWE made it unavailable. You can't find it anywhere.
It is so hard to find, I will give you that. I've got it. I can't say, but I've got it. But YouTube took it down after about 2 hours, if that. It was gone straight away.
It's awful. I'm hearing good things about it for those who were able to see it, like within that first 2 hours of it being available. And even Jim Ross shared links to it so that people could watch on Twitter. So yeah, I don't know why they're hiding it. They really need to make it available to everyone.
Well, they've just been disabled for monetization. I'm kidding.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. Why would they do that? I mean, do you think do you think this has anything to do with the network? Because they've been pushing the YouTube. Well, they have stopped, at least as far as I've noticed, stopped pushing their YouTube channel as heavily as they were 2 or 3 weeks ago.
I think it's something to do with the network. I would suggest they want their exclusivity and whatever, and they don't want it to be on anywhere else. They've gone to the extreme.
All right. Question of the week. Joe, you want to do this one, or do you want me to do it?
I can do it, because I actually did come up with a question, too. Okay. Question of the week for you all, folks. What's a better move, a stunner or a cutter? And why? Whoever gives me the comment I like best, or sends in the comment that I like best, you're going to get a free t-shirt.
Quick bonus points, things that Joe likes, tits, barbecue, and his dogs. So if you could somehow work that in there.
Tits and dogs, same thing.
Oh, and beer, but mostly his own homebrew beer, which I hear is amazing. So I don't know how you can work that in there. But yeah, there's your big four. All right, and that's it. That's the show. As you can tell, we're just a group of friends that do this in our spare time, professionalism aside. We don't charge for this like some do, but we do work really hard at making sure we put out some quality entertainment for you. We're not asking you to send us
our money, but if you want to... Sorry, Harrison, Karen.
So, Lee, I was going to let you plug your little news site, but I don't think I'm going to anymore. If you're in England and you want to read about wrestling news, hit up PW Torch, because it's the internet, and you can go anywhere you want. And it's all the same news anyway, it's just reposted links. We're not asking you to send us our money, but if you want to, you can do so by buying a t-shirt. Visit our site, theftwpodcast.com, and click the merch link at the top. Take a look at the shirts available, and if you got an idea for a shirt, let us know. We might be able to make it happen. Otherwise, if you don't have the cash, but you really want to show support, get the word out by rating us on YouTube, by commenting on YouTube, rating us on iTunes, improve our ranks in their systems. The higher up we get, the better chance to get more listeners. Subscribe to us, like us, all that stuff. Tell your friends, spread the word. We're incredibly easy to find. For more information about us, visit ftwpodcast.com. Like us on facebook.com/ftwpodcast. You can follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/FTWpodcast. You can subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/theftwpodcast. You can let your voices be heard on the show by leaving us a voicemail at 313-444-FTW4. That's 313-444-3894. And you can email your questions to questions@ftwpodcast.com. And thank you everyone in the live chat. You guys are awesome as always. We record every FTW podcast on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. at ftwlive.com. See you next Tuesday, folks.
Harrison's a cock.
Oh.
Big one.